I honestly don't know where to start with that one. Tonight was unbelievably poor. It was the biggest game probably that we've had in a decade since that Champions League final. Our whole season rested on this game because we've put that fate in our own hands by not beating the teams we should have done. Crystal Palace, Wolves, Leicester. To secure Champions League football, everything rested on tonight's game, and we've capitulated in the most spectacular fashion. I never ever have seen an Arsenal performance that lacklustre, that lacking in desire. And it's an Arsenal performance that really summed up how we played for a large part of this season, particularly Arsenal fans that looked at us at the start of the season. A lot of those results that we got weren't overly convincing. I'm looking back to the games when we played the likes of West Ham at home and we still weren't putting in good performances, but somehow we went on that amazing 22 game unbeaten run. And now the cracks are really starting to show in this Arsenal team. And we've been undone by a Chelsea side that, let's face it, on paper they've had a very good season, but we know that this team have got frailties, and to let them score four against us, to really humiliate us, to put us to the sword, to really have our number, I can't put into words how poor it is from an Arsenal point of view tonight. And the fact that we knew how much hype there was around this game, how much rested on this game, and how confident I think a lot of Arsenal fans, a lot of players, ex-players, where we saw the social media build up from Arsenal. We saw the post on the Twitter account, all these ex-players that seemed so confident that Arsenal could go out there and do the job this evening. And we looked like a League Two side at times. We were really, really poor. It's a shame considering how well we started the game. But for that first goal to go in and then just everyone to lose their heads, and the minute that second goal went in, it was game over, unfortunately, because we just can't respond from that situation. And it leaves us in a really, really tricky situation in terms of how this club is going to be rebuilt. Obviously, getting back into the Champions League after one season would have been fantastic following Arsene Wenger's departure, following Unai Emery's arrival. And I think it's unforgivable, to be honest, that Emery hasn't been able to achieve that. I know that this season, a lot of people would have given him free rein to have got into had a season of transition. And at the start of the season, I was very open to that. But I'm looking at the Premier League this season and I'm looking at what we had to do to secure Champions League football. And I'm looking at how poor Tottenham and Chelsea have been in the Premier League and the opportunity we had. And in fact, we haven't taken that with two of the best strikers in the Premier League, not just in the Premier League, in Europe as well. I say that they didn't turn up tonight, but I think it's just unforgivable how we've not been able to secure top four. I'm looking back to that Palace game in particular. All we had to do was get 3 points and we'd be in the top four. And tonight's game, I don't want to say it wouldn't have mattered so much, but it wouldn't have mattered so much because we'd have achieved our objective. This loss tonight would have been not so much of a big blow, but it's the fact that we've not only been humiliated by this Chelsea side, the fact we've lost 4-1 in a European final, the fact that we're not going to get Champions League football next season, it's the fact that we had the opportunity laid out in front of us to do it in the easiest fashion. Now, obviously, there's no easy game in the Premier League, but Wolves, Leicester, and Crystal Palace at home, Arsenal Football Club should be able to get at least 3 points from those games, and it's unforgivable that they haven't been able to. And Unai Emery has to have a real assessment of himself by himself and the Arsenal boards, and a real decision has to be made about how this club is going to move forward, because I'm not convinced that he's the right man to do it. Honestly, I'm not convinced. I wasn't overly convinced when he was appointed manager. I went with him because it was what the club selected and I had a responsibility to believe in him. The season's gone past and we've not only completely bottled top four, but we've bottled 90 minutes away, a 90-minute game away from Champions League football. And that's the exact problem we had with Arsene Wenger towards his latter years. And of course, I know the players have to take responsibility, but Emery's got to take a huge amount of responsibility as well. And of course, he's not the only one that I think has to be brought into question. Mesut Ozil, £350,000 a week. I'm not going to blame the defeat on him tonight, of course not. But if you honestly think that we can build a future with him at the club, no way is that possible. He's going to be 31 in a couple of months, and there's no way that he's got a future at Arsenal Football Club. That's just the cold hard facts right there. Apologies. We're losing Aaron Ramsey, one of our best midfielders, and probably, if it wasn't for Lacazette, one of our players of the season. We'll let him go for free. This club, in my opinion, is taking a step backwards by letting that happen. We've brought in Dennis Suarez in January, who's done nothing for us since coming in. Question marks over that. And if we remain in the Europa League, as much as I've liked someone like Socrates this season, we're going to be limited to players of that calibre. Do I think Socrates is of the level that we need? No. Obviously, I want us to be going for players like Van Dijk. But if we continue to take defeats like we have done tonight, then we're going to be limited to players like that. I think we've got to be extremely shrewd in the transfer market. That goes without saying because our already limited budget has been shrunken even more by tonight's defeat. So we've got to look at players like Lucas Torreira, like Matteo Guendouzi, and we've got to pick players out from Europe's top leagues in a similar fashion that aren't going to break our budget, because there's no way we can look at the players that we want to now. This has completely wrecked any summer plans we had. And I'm not sure where we go from here. I'm not sure what the club's plans are. I'd love to see a philosophy that I can believe in, but I haven't seen that this season. I haven't seen it from Arsenal. I haven't seen it from Unai Emery. And Raul Sanelli and his counterpart, completely forgot his name, coming out before this game, talking about the plans for Arsenal, the faith they have in Unai Emery. It's brilliant. It's a fantastic interview. I strongly urge you to go and watch it on Arsenal's YouTube channel. But they're saying what we all want to hear. Right, let's have it right. They're saying exactly what Arsenal fans want to lap up, and that is a very well rehearsed piece of content that they've delivered to Arsenal media. So I'm not reading too much into what those guys are saying, and I just want to see something that I can believe in at Arsenal, and I haven't seen that tonight, and I haven't seen that towards the end of this season. It's unforgivable how this club has fallen apart, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if bids for Lacazette, for Aubameyang came in, for even players like Torreira, because, you know, clubs like Real Madrid will potentially look at someone like that. I mean, you know, if they can get a player like Lacazette at a cut price because we're in the Europa League, we're desperate for money, they're definitely going to be looking at that. They're definitely going to be looking at that. And Barcelona looking for someone to replace Luis Suarez at some point. They'll be looking at Lacazette. They'll be looking at Aubameyang. And what worries me most is that Aubameyang's turning 30 next month. Lacazette's coming into his late 20s. These are two of the best players that we're going to have without Champions League football. And if we don't get it next season, then we'll have lost these players' peak years. I think we've got to be realistic and cut sentiment with a lot of these players. Koscielny's going, Czech's going, Monreal's going. Really got to be asking questions about someone like Granit Xhaka, someone like Sead Kolasinac. But it's going to be a massive summer for Arsenal after this. And yeah, tonight I can't talk about it too much longer. It was utterly, utterly pathetic. Let me know your thoughts in the comments box below. Drop a like on the video if you somehow enjoyed it. Can't talk about it any longer. I'll speak to you soon.